Life is going great. And then all of a sudden, something comes smashing in sideways at 90 degrees and tries to take us out, whether that's a death, a divorce, a diagnosis, a disagreement, or disillusionment, disability.
Disillusionment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There might be a 6D. There might be 7 or 8 Ds if we really go down the road. But some kind of major something happens, and it forces us into this transition where life changes. Hey, what's this whole wealth journey podcast thing all about?
It's a podcast for entrepreneurs where we're trying to help them connect the meaning with their money.
Who are you?
Jim Gebhardt.
Oh, I'm Matthew Grishman, and we're a couple of financial guys having a not so traditional financial conversation called The Whole Wealth Journey. Here we go.
All right, dude, what are you grateful for today?
Well, thank you for asking. I got to confess, in the last episode, I told a little bit of a fib. And so...
What?
And not intentionally. It was kind of just, it slipped out. And it was when I was asking or sharing that, you know, you and I have not quite figured out this whole personal planning thing. Like, we don't know who we want to become. And for me, that's not really true. Even though I said we haven't fully figured it out, but there's faith that I have that we will, because there's a process to personal planning, wasn't completely the truth. Because I do know what I want to do for the rest of my life. I do know what Life 3.0 is for me after Gebhardt Group. And it's to continue doing this exact work, the personal planning side of life. And you and I have a future podcast idea that I'm not sharing much about today. We'll do that way, way down the road when it's ready. But I have a lot of clarity on that. And I guess where my gratitude comes in. So first, my apologies for being a bit misleading for the purpose of selling a concept on the show.
I don't think there's no challenges there.
Yeah. I mean, if you can't tell by the passion that I have about this personal planning piece is everything that I'm about. I'm so unbelievably curious about people and what makes them tick and why they get out of bed every day and what their dreams and hopes and visions are, and to help them get unstuck, to help them just get the anchor off the bottom an inch so they can get in motion and take that first step towards whatever's next. Because I know once we get in motion, we stay in motion. And
if we get stuck,
we get to get in motion again.
Right.
I mean, it's this process of getting unstuck. So where my gratitude is today is I am grateful for my adventure in cardiology, for my health crisis that hit in 2023, because I'm realizing that happened for me. It didn't happen to me. Having that SVT in a hot yoga class, allowing that to become an aortic valve replacement, allowing that to become recurring pericarditis, where every day was just excruciating amounts of pain, going through that and not having my own financial house in order ahead of time, not having our succession plan in order if I can't come to work the next day, and not knowing if I can't come to work when this is all done, what am I going to spend the rest of my life doing? Not having the clarity around that was a very uncomfortable place to be. And so I think you and I are the lucky ones. We're some of the lucky ones. And that's part of my gratitude today, is that we were able to go through that without interruption to the business. We were able to identify a number of who's that were able to help me get my financial and legal house in order pretty quickly. And what came out of the other side of this was just this overwhelming sense of, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. This idea of helping people get the clarity on who am I outside of this job title, this industry, this career that I've created, this business that I've built.
This net worth statement.
Yeah. Who am I at a human, personal level, and what does that look like in terms of creating Life 3.0? So I've got a lot of gratitude about what happened, how it didn't happen to me, how it happened for me.
Well, that could be the whole show.
And with that, my friend, that could be a wrap, but it's not, because.
Well, and I'll get to my gratitude, but that concept of it didn't happen to me, it happened for me.
Yeah.
That phrase to me is unbelievably powerful because it gets you out of the victim mode.
Yes.
And I don't mean you, Matthew. I mean you, everybody.
Oh, say me, Matthew, because it did.
Right.
I mean, let's make this very personal. That it
well,
did.
And it was an unbelievable struggle. And for those of us that love and care for you, it was hard to witness because we didn't know what to do. There was nothing we could do.
But yet you did what you needed to do, which is be patient and let me get through it.
Sure.
And hold up
but
the
the natural desire
Sure.
of someone that you care about is you want to help. Right. And sure, we figured out other ways we could help, but that not happening to me, but happening for me. Boy, I love that. I love that concept.
It's part of the way we help people change their thinking and the way they see things. And here's a very simple example of it. I no longer get cut off on the freeway. I no longer allow myself to be cut off in traffic.
Oh, so you tailgate.
It cannot happen.
You tailgate.
Sure, right. And the antithesis of that,
yes.
the antithesis of that
yes.
is I choose to let everybody in. If I choose to let everybody in, I can no longer be victimized by some knucklehead driving like a knucklehead on the freeway.
Sure.
Right? It doesn't happen to me. It happens for me. It allows me to take back that power to where I'm no longer a victim of my circumstances. I can't be. There's always something to learn in every experience we have, no matter how painful or how wonderful it is. There's always something on the other side that makes us better.
Yeah.
That's my gratitude today. How about you?
I got to add, it's ironic that, our themes in gratitude are often so similar. Mine is also health related in the sense of, and this is just a shameless plug for One Medical.
Oh.
So if you're not an Amazon fan, skip this part.
Well, no, you should be.
Or you should be, because
for this,
I'm so impressed with One Medical and then kind of the tag along with that Amazon pharmacy. But the One Medical platform for health has been just fabulous. The responsiveness, the ease of use. I'm even experiencing some proactiveness on behalf of my medical team, reaching out and suggesting some programs that they have. It is really the first time in my adult life where I feel as though this medical group is working for me.
You found a who.
How about it?
A big one.
This is a big who. And Beth has been on board with them for about a year. Emily's been on board with them for not quite a year. We're getting Grace on board. And Emily's got an issue with an ingrown toe issue with her left toe. Actually, it's both big toes.
She's got feet issues, yeah.
Well, that comes from me. That was me when I was 18.
You're welcome.
And I was kind of prodding her on it. I'm like, why don't you get a video call set up for, today? And she's like, why? Oh, yeah, you watch. You'll get one.
Right.
When's your window today? Well, from between 7 and 8 p.m. tonight. Perfect. No problem. Boom. She had a video appointment that led to a referral to a podiatrist that's leading to some action, right? I can't say enough good things about my experience with One Medical. And I'm grateful because I've been searching for that who for a long time. I thought I had a relationship with my primary care doc before this, but the guy was probably responsible for 3,000 patients. I would go into his office, HIPAA violation 402, this 8-foot wall and 8-foot high open file bank. I could have grabbed 17 files and stuffed them in my backpack as I walked down to the examination room.
Sure.
I'm like, what in the world? Right. Anyway, I just love finding a who that is an upgraded experience all the way around. And I can't sing their praises enough.
Who would have thought? One Medical. I wonder if our old friend Jeff Bezos has done the personal life planning side of his life planning. Just seeing what he's been able to develop from his very original Amazon adventures in Amazon. I mean, I remember when I lived in Seattle in the early 2000s and Amazon was just kind of bubbling up as the new place to shop, right? The bookstore that competed with our old friend Len Riggio at Barnes & Noble. And look at what's become. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Whatever you think of the guy, I would imagine he's done some really, really intense planning in all three areas. So fantastic.
Love the tie back.
Thanks for sharing the gratitude, brother. Okay, so today's whole agenda is about breaking down the 4 barriers that keep us stuck. And I mean, here's the uncomfortable truth that we got to just deal with right up front. The most successful people at solving business problems are often the very worst at solving their own life transitions and figuring out what Life 3.0 is all about.
I would agree with that.
In the last episode, brother, the last couple episodes now, we've established that 75% of business owners regret their transactions because they neglect this third leg of the stool, this personal life planning. And today we're going to dive a little bit deeper into these 4 barriers that keep us, right? Why don't we do this kind of planning work? And you and I have seen even the smartest entrepreneurs, this completely eludes them, right? And we've identified 4 specific barriers. There may be more.
These are the 4 biggies.
These are the 4 biggies.
You're doing a puzzle, right? You're doing a puzzle.
Right.
You got 4 corners to the puzzle.
Absolutely.
I've never done a 3-sided puzzle. I've never done a 5-sided puzzle.
No?
But these are the 4 cornerstones of the puzzle.
Absolutely.
In terms of why not.
And what we've experienced, right? Everything here is about what we've experienced. So just kind of recap the 4 before we get in deep. Number 1, fear, right? This idea of identity loss and some kind of existential anxiety that comes from that. The second being time management.
We're going to go deep on that.
We're going to go deep on the tyranny of what we call quadrant 1 thinking, which just is obsessive thinking of the entrepreneur. We're going to talk a little bit about blind spots.
Ooh, my favorite.
Right, not knowing what you don't know. And then fourth, and kind of batting cleanup here, who versus how. Who versus how, because for most of us, we have the complete wrong framework on how we attack solving problems, right? With how instead of who. So I see that, our responsibility here, brother, we do as an industry, I think, a really good job. And you've mentioned this before. We do a good job as an industry teaching our clients how to be intentional with their money. But how many of us in the industry are working with clients and teaching them how to be intentional with their identity transitions afterward?
Well, that's a messy, scary topic. That's why we have the fear. That's why we have the blind spots. It's not something that people neglect it, I think, partly because they don't know they need to focus on it. That's why we're spending so much time talking about this.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a very unique conversation that's not being had within our industry. So I'm grateful for those that are here. If this is a topic of conversation that you feel warrants sharing with other people in your life, feel free to share the episode, because what our main objective today is we're trying to help the tribe and those around our tribe understand that it's not just what the barriers are, but why they're so powerful and how they show up in our daily lives, right? How to become aware of these barriers, because you can't overcome what you're not aware of, what you don't see.
Right.
So we have to become aware of what these barriers are so that we can learn to accept the fact that they're there. And then ultimately, in the next couple of episodes, what's the action we can take as a result of becoming aware and accepting that these are what's keeping us from doing the work.
And I would also add that this takes time, that this is not a 30, 60, 90-day evolution. I think this is a project completion. I think this can be evolutionary, certainly post-transaction, right? I mean, you wrote a white paper a number of years ago on the subject of the 3 phases of retirement, right? The go-go years, the slow-go years, the no-go years.
Right.
In this context, we know through experience with our clients that there are different ages and stages and phases of retirement. I would submit to the jury that that's the same here with this Life 3.0, that it's going to be evolutionary. And what you envision for this first phase of retirement, that's what you're building toward. But in this context of building a bigger future, you can adapt and amend that. It doesn't have to be cast in concrete, right? But you need the time and the space to be able to envision what you want to become in this next phase of life.
I appreciate you sharing that. And I think Ace might even be so kind as to put a link in the show notes to be able to get a copy of that white paper if people would like it on the 3 phases of retirement. So, feel free to go into the show notes and click the link and we'll get that over to you. All right, brother, let's jump in. Let's go into the first barrier here and this idea of fear, or what you might just call what it is, the identity crisis.
Yeah.
Right? If I'm not the CEO, the founder, the owner of Gebhardt Group, then who am I?
Yeah.
Right? And this fear, it's just like this process comes with time and with layers. Fear also comes in layers.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And there's a few different ways to identify how this fear shows up, right? How can I become aware of the fear that I have around this? Because we have this surface level fear of, this idea of I might be bored. I might become irrelevant one day. It's a thought that lingers a little bit. But then it could get a little deeper. It could progress and become this mid-level fear where, we're going from kind of the skin and the surface down into the muscle, where it becomes more of this fear of losing respect and status. Like,
relevance.
You go from like a who's who to who's he.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's something that
I see a lot of them at the gym every day.
Right.
And I have a visceral reaction because I feel as though they've been put out to pasture.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel a real strong emotional sadness because I know inside of those people, they don't have to be entrepreneurs, right? That there's knowledge and wisdom and experience and learnings that they could be doing something with, and maybe they are. But when I see them in these,
you can see it, when
I see them in these lifeless kind of,
you see it.
It makes me sad. And I think that whole concept of, going from the who's who to the who's he is a big, big barrier.
Oh, sure. And if it's not dealt with, it manifests and it gets deeper, and this fear can get to this core level, like bone, like hitting bone. We've gone through the skin and the muscle, and now we're hitting bone, where this fear of discovering you don't know who you are without the title of your business and the industry of your business. And now
you don't
you're
know
lost.
Yourself.
Right. Total identity loss. I mean, the reason this is so powerful is that so many of us entrepreneurs have wrapped our entire identity around our role within the business. Hi, I'm Matthew Grishman, financial planner. Right? Instead of, hi, I'm Matthew Grishman. I help people get unstuck, right? We've identified so much within our business that the thought of even exploring who we might become feels like psychological death.
Yeah. I can't add a lot to it because I just think it's so true. Right. and we've seen it.
Yeah.
Right? Particularly when people haven't put the time into this planning. It's sad. I can't add a lot because it's just, to me, it's a missed opportunity. It's just so unbelievably sad.
Well, remember, fear here is the chief activator of almost every character defect we're ever going to have. So the way you can start to notice the fear within yourself, right? If you're part of the tribe and you're listening with us today, hopefully you're using what we're giving you as self-assessment tools to get to know yourself a little better and start to see, okay, where is this showing up in my life? Mm-hmm. Well, some of the ways this fear, right, this root cause, this chief activator is going to show up through these character defects where fear becomes amplified. So maybe it's simply avoiding conversations about, life after the business.
Oh, I'm never going to retire.
Right?
No, I love what I do. I'm going to keep going until I'm going to go with my boots up.
Well, that was always Hank's joke, right? He's going to die in the chair.
Right.
Right. And I noticed that. I noticed he was telling jokes about that he's never going to retire. I've seen some people who are aware of this idea of life planning. We've got the whole life coaching industry that's kind of popped up that's trying to do a little bit of this life planning, I think. And I've seen some entrepreneurs kind of joke about this as kind of the soft stuff, right? It's nice. It's like Fuzzy Bunny, Foo-Foo, Marin County, just kind of soft stuff. Sorry if I, Marin County folks, that's what I think of when I think of soft stuff. And sometimes I've even seen people get angry at the idea of thinking about succession. So think about fear as your chief activator, and how does that become anger, projection, frustration, avoidance, defer, right? All of these secondary behaviors that can come as a result of that fear, realize that all of those behaviors are the result of this fear of an identity crisis. We all go through it.
We all go through it, and I think so many business owners, entrepreneurs, they're competitors.
Yeah.
And they need to win. And if you take the job away, you take the role and the title away, well, what am I going to win at now?
Well, as you've said, right. We play a game.
Well,
right?
it's a game. Business is a game.
Business is the way we play the game. We can't all be professional baseball players.
And
so we create our own game.
We create our own game, and we win through success. However you want to define that. A lot of people would define it with money, right?
Others with
they keep score with money.
Team, right? Look at the team that I've built.
Right, our ranking in the industry,
Sure.
the awards we receive in the industry, all those good things. And ultimately, business owners like control. They're control freaks.
Sure.
You and I are control freaks.
Sure.
We've learned how to be less control freaks, but by nature, the business owner is going to be a control freak.
Why? Because we love to win and we hate
losing.
Right.
Yeah. And put me in the game, coach. I'll win.
Right.
Right?
Of course.
So the entrepreneur thinks those are going to be absent in the next phase of life. Because if I sell the business,
the game's over.
The game is over. What am I going to win? What am I in control? They're going to get a little stuck, right? And now I got all this money, so I can't keep score with money. So that's where I think so much of this fear can be rooted.
Sure.
Let alone in, as you said, as you get down to bone. I mean, I know myself up on the surface level of boredom that after 30 years of being a financial advisor and being a general practitioner in financial services, without a niche, without a direct focus.
Right. Big old net. Everybody's welcome.
Oh, everybody's welcome because, right. I mean, we just rewatched, I don't know if I told you this, but we just rewatched Schindler's List.
Thank you. Yeah. You didn't tell me you rewatched it, but I was waiting for you to go there.
We just rewatched it. Grace had some major ankle, and that's another thing I'm grateful for is that surgery is over and it appears to be successful. She had some bone spurs on her ankle and it was impeding and impacting her Achilles. And so the kid's laid up, right?
Yeah.
She's hitting the lazy boy 24/7
Yeah.
and we are watching movies like nobody's business. And she was looking for suggestions. And
this is one that'll inspire her to get up.
Oof. I mean,
there's a little adversity overcoming in Schindler's List.
Schindler's List, to me, just speaks to kind of the root of why I got into this business was I wanted to help people.
Right.
Right. Obviously, my helping people in financial services relative to the Holocaust and what he did, there's no comparison.
Sure. But if you sell that watch you're wearing today, you could probably help 5 more people.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
That scene is, you want to get me crying? Go pop that scene up. And
I'm trying.
Poof,
I'm trying to put it in front of you right now.
I'm good.
You're all gummed up today.
I'm very good.
Yeah, you're gummed up today.
That for me in my own kind of, soul searching here, right, is I could keep doing what I was doing as a general practitioner, or I could really focus in on the area that gives me the most passion, which is the exit planning, which is the preparation and the planning that goes into a successful exit on all 3 legs of the stool.
For entrepreneurs predominantly in the trades.
Predominantly in the construction trades in that industry because of my background and
right.
my interest and passion.
What you know.
It's what I know.
Right.
So once you can start to create the time and space for, in my case, to focus on that, which is how we've come to learn about our friends at the Exit Planning Institute and the designations that we've been doing and the other interesting people that have been showing up
absolutely
in the Whoville. That's, I think, where some of that fear comes from is just, I want to win. And I don't know how I'm going to win in this next phase of life.
And the solution to that, which we'll get into more later, is we got to reinvent the game.
You bet.
And start to have faith that the game can be reinvented because there's a process driving that reinvention.
Yep. Okay, you get to create the game.
Yeah. Right.
This is your sole customized game.
Blank canvas.
Yes.
Barrier number 2, time management, or what you and I have commonly called the quadrant trap.
Ooh, baby.
So visualize with me for a minute. And actually, I'm going to ask you, Tribe, to do one thing better. Get out a piece of paper. Pull out the journal that you write down in when you're listening to the episode. Pull that out. Take a second, get that out, get a pen and paper, and draw in the middle of a sheet of paper a big square and divide it up into 4 equal quadrants. So get a perpendicular line, top to bottom.
4 boxes.
Yeah. A horizontal line, top to bottom. So you got 4 boxes inside of one big square. Upper left-hand side, on the top, On the top of the square, you want to write important over the left box, not important over the right box. Then go to the left axis. Go to the left side of the big square. And in the top box, you're going to write urgent. And next to the bottom box, you're going to write not urgent. So that you can create a visual for having 4 quadrants. So we've got quadrant number 1, which is important, urgent. We've got quadrant number 2, which is important, not urgent. We've got quadrant 3, which is not important, urgent. And then we've got quadrant 4, which is not important, not urgent. So partner, where do you think most entrepreneurs spend most of their time?
Oh, let me think. Let's have the clock running in the background. How long it takes me to come up with quadrant 1.
Attaboy, ding, 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 winner, winner, chicken dinner.
That is the house on fire quadrant.
Yes.
Everything is urgent. It must be done now. It's
important. It's urgent.
It's the cash flow emergencies, the client emergencies, the staffing problems, the new opportunities, the deadlines, all the crises that come up in running a business.
Absolutely.
It's all that front burner now.
Entrepreneurs are brilliant at staying 2 inches in front of their nose. So whatever comes in front of your nose right now needs to be dealt with. And that's what you and I have always kind of positioned ourselves as leaders within our own organization. Our primary responsibility to our team is to be their snowplow. I mean, come on, we grew up in upstate New York. How do I not have the snowplow visual? Where it's our job to be out front, plowing the road to make sure that our people can run, right? And we often get caught spending a lot of time only dealing in that area. But yet, here's kind of the funny thing. I want to go to the other side of it, the quadrant 4 side of it.
Yeah.
Right. Let's just go to the opposite end of the spectrum.
Opposite end of the earth.
Not important and not urgent.
Sure.
Time wasters.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Social media scrolling. Netflix binging.
Binging TV.
Sitting around gossiping.
Right.
Right. Busy work. Procrastination stuff.
Yeah.
Right. As entrepreneurs, we can often get caught sitting around with a few minutes and going, oh, I just need to check out. Right. And we have time for this quadrant 4 stuff. I mean, here's the irony behind it. We spend time in quadrant 4 scrolling social media, but we often miss the time we need to spend in another quadrant, which we're going to get to. Let's look at quadrant 3 for a second.
Sure.
This is one of my. This is a fun one.
This is a fun one. I have a name for this one. So this is the not important, but
urgent.
Suddenly urgent.
Yes.
And I call this the Popeye moment, right? And for our listeners that even know who Popeye is, he had a famous phrase, which was, I've had all I can stands no more.
Right.
Well, that to me is the essence of this quadrant, because let's use your lovely example of the nightstand.
Oh, I was looking in my nightstand drawer 3 days ago, looking for the battery for my whoop strap so I could charge it. And as I'm looking in my nightstand drawer, it is just loaded with junk. Everything that's in my pockets in a day generally gets dumped into that drawer. And I had it. I had that moment. This is, 5:30 in the morning. I'm just getting out of bed. I got to charge this thing. And I had that Popeye moment.
Suddenly,
this becomes urgent. It's not important, but I must reorganize that nightstand drawer right now. So whether it's organizing the junk drawer, whether it's, did I say drunk drawer?
You did say drunk drawer.
Look at that little Freudian slip.
Yeah.
I must have been drunk when I did that.
I guess so.
Junk drawer, right? How about responding to every single email that comes in? How about having unnecessary meetings, interruptions, false emergencies, right? All of these things that seem urgent in the moment, but they're really not that important. It happens.
It happens.
Okay, let's talk about quadrant 2. Important, not urgent. And for you and me in the financial planning / life planning world, this is literally where everything you and I get up in the morning to do exists for most people. This is all really important stuff, guys. We love you. Thank you for spending 30 years becoming great at the craft. And as important as it is, it's never really urgent.
No, until it is.
Until it is, which it was for me just a couple of years ago.
Yes.
but it's important
which is,
and not urgent.
Which is why we've seen so many new clients come in over the years, because they have hit some inflection point where there is a crisis.
Well, not urgent becomes urgent.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
what would it be like? I mean, just imagine for a second what it would be like if more people were proactive and put priority on this quadrant, whether it would be getting their estate house in order, whether it be some of the work you and I are doing right now with our personal insurance lines,
Sure.
and having real professionals look at our insurance from a homeowner's auto, all that good stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Jewelry riders and all the nuances, subtleties to that.
Yep.
That is a classic example to me of something that's very important in the land of California, where we have fires and homeowners issues and all that, but it's not urgent because you have coverage and I have coverage.
Right. Everything from personal life planning, estate planning, health planning, relationship planning, and even strategic thinking.
What's that?
I challenge our entrepreneurs. How often do you get outside of your business to work on your business instead of always being consumed with quadrant 1 activities working in your business? This is something we have done. I'm very proud of. A beautiful job. In fact, we're about to next week go off onto another one of our retreats. You, me, Allison, our operations guru, the three of us are going to go do some strategic thinking. We're going to do some quadrant 2 work, which we've started to do religiously. Now,
hang on a second. Seven times a year, I can guarantee I will be out of the office for 3 to 4 days that I'm not in the office, which does 2 things. Number 1, it gives me strategic thinking time.
Yeah.
Because I'm away, and we haven't said this one in a while, but I do some of my best strategic thinking at 38,000 feet.
You do.
Stuff happens up there. I don't know if it's because the air is thinner or the peanuts are fresh, or I don't know what it is. But
so what are you taking, a hot air balloon? How are you getting up there?
One of those things with the big metal things out the side called an airplane.
Oh, right. An airplane.
And I covet those 7 different markers in the air, because that to me is some of the most important work that we do, is getting out of the office to not just work on business stuff. But Beth and I went to a couples retreat last year where we went away for 3 days.
Sure.
And there have been initiatives from that I was just looking at not too long ago, and we can do the old, Sharpie cross through it, because we've done it, and it's time to go do it again. And it doesn't have to be a big production. We're going to go locally and just go hibernate locally for 4 to 6 hours.
Nice.
And put some new initiatives forward and spend some time here. This is something I'm immensely proud of, the work that you and I have been doing, particularly when it comes to the personal planning and the health planning and the relationship planning. So, yeah.
You and I have spent more time in quadrant 2 in the last 5 years than I think we have in the previous 45 years of our lives, for sure. So let's talk a little bit more about this entrepreneur's time trap then, right? Because we've identified, just through our own experience, personally and through the experiences of our clients and friends, that most entrepreneurs are addicted to this quadrant 1. The urgency gives us a dopamine hit, and it makes us feel important. I mean, that, for me, right, I've pretty much eliminated every dopamine-inducing activity in my life, between, booze and drugs and shopping and eating sugar and driving fast and gambling and all these things that I used to get great dopamine hits out of. Well, as an entrepreneur, the urgency at Gebhardt Group of, oh my God, I got to take care of this right now. It's like, oh yeah, man.
It's a very natural reaction.
Put me in the game.
Yeah.
But personal life planning lives in quadrant 2. It's important. It's never urgent until it becomes. And here's the irony, guys. And I, mentioned it already once before, but we spend time in quadrant 4 scrolling social media. I know I do. I could get really hooked on Instagram reels, but then I don't have time to be in quadrant 2, doing some financial planning, business planning, or even more importantly, life 3.0 planning.
So since we're in the neighborhood of time management, what you and I have also found works really well is when you time block. When you block out time on the calendar for said activity. And you and I have spent a lot of energy and resource working on that calendar system of ours, so that we create these blocks of time.
Right. You and I create these blocks of time and build the calendar system?
No.
Oh, you mean there's a who that we do?
Correct.
Okay.
but the intentionality behind creating the time to go away and spend time on these important activities
Sure.
is vital.
Absolutely. Well, and I could imagine our tribe is sitting here going, yeah, I'd love to be able to set up a calendar system that does that. And
But I got so many quadrant one things.
right. It's not a how, it's a who. There is somebody on your team that can do this for you.
Or if there isn't,
We need to find one.
you need to find one.
You need to have a Lindsay on your team.
Yes.
Who's Lindsay on our team?
Yes.
Lindsay on our team is one of our MVPs who does this work for us and holds us accountable to sticking to it.
Yes, she does.
She knows that if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't get done. So if we want quadrant 2 work getting done, Lindsay knows to take the initiative and get it on our calendar. We're so grateful for that. Okay.
All right. Barrier number 3.
Barrier number 3, your favorite. So
My favorite.
So tee it up. Blind spots.
It's the blind spots that you don't even know they're there.
Not
right?
knowing what
I
you
mean,
don't know.
Where do most accidents happen? Most accidents happen because of the blind spots.
Absolutely.
Oh, I didn't see he was there. I didn't see he was there. I didn't see him coming. Well, no shit. That's the nature of a blind spot, is you can't see it. And that's where I think so much of this work is neglected because no one ever knew to do it.
Yes.
No one ever knew that if I spend time planning for Life 3.0, okay, yeah, I got the business thing covered, I got the personal planning covered, my estate's covered, but what am I going to do with my most precious resource, which is time?
To your point, the assumption I think is that if I have my financial house in order and I've got my estate plan covered, well, then I'm good. That encompasses the personal planning. I think that's part of the blind spot.
And it absolutely is, because you are good in the sense of those things with getting your financial house in order. But where you're not good is the blind spot around, well, now what am I going to do?
Well, that's the reality. I mean, the reality is financial planning answers how much money will I need, but personal life 3.0 planning answers who am I going to become and what's going to give my life meaning in that life 3.0. There's a difference there, right? And it's not subtle.
No,
right?
It's not subtle.
Right? This is as subtle as a sledgehammer.
No, this is like Grand Canyon gap.
You think there's some common blind spots? What do you see as the most common blind spots? Besides this one big one that life planning is just part of the financial planning.
In my experience, it's purpose planning.
Tell me more.
It is, I have all the money I want, all the money I need, but these two things at the bottom of my legs, my feet, when they hit the floor in the morning, they're still going to need a sense of purpose.
So you think there's a blind spot around, I don't need that?
There's a blind spot around, I need to do work on creating my next purpose, right? In this context of creating this bigger future, my life isn't over. There's a new chapter of my life that I get to redesign this however I want it. And for me, in my experience, purpose is the biggest part of that. Now, we go through an exercise with our clients called the Clarity Compass.
Ooh, yes.
And I would submit that probably 9 out of 10 of those that we do, or 900 out of 1,000 that we will do, that health is one of the big ones that pop up.
As far as one of the
handful, 4 or 5
kind of core values,
critical things that I have in my life, because so many people recognize without their health,
we got nothing. Right.
So I'm not dismissing that at all. But to me, it's the lifeless bodies that I see walking around the gym that it doesn't feel like there's any purpose.
Well, because they feel like they've been put out to pasture, and there's a blind spot around the fact that you could do this purpose work and reinvent yourself into life 3.0. Instead of ramping down, you could continue to ramp up, which is what an entrepreneur builder really wants out of life.
The best example that I've seen as an observer, as a student of that life 3.0 life, are the U.S. presidents.
Ooh, tell me more.
The president post being the president, right? Is there
life after the White House?
Life after the White House. Is there any other letdown for someone that is the president of the United States to be who's he?
Right.
I mean, now he's an ex-president.
Sure.
Right. But that is kind of the gold standard in letdown that I remember George Herbert Walker Bush telling a great story.
Yes.
About how shortly after he was no longer president, he rolled over to hit the button, which would be to have the staff bring in his coffee and his water in the morning. And he realized that there was no button in his bedroom. And he felt like, oh, who am I?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So whether it's, this isn't political, but whether it's President Carter, any of the ex-presidents, I think President Carter is probably our penultimate example of an extraordinary life post-presidency.
Absolutely.
All the way up to, he was 100.
Yeah, the day he drew I think he right before 100.
Just right.
Yeah,
suffice it to say, an
graduated
unbelievably long, powerful life. But I think there are good examples of how, there's things that they do, right? They write their memoirs and they build a library and they do philanthropy that is passionate and purposeful to them. They create a purpose for themselves post-presidency. And I think as a model, not that we're building libraries and such, but there's a lot of visioning that they go through to help create that next chapter in their life. And for me, that's the biggest blind spot.
Beautiful. And there's probably a few more here too, right? Like the idea we've talked about this identity crisis. There's an identity planning opportunity here, right? Most of us never consider who we are as people post-planning because we've never thought of ourselves outside of the job title or the industry that we happen to fall in and create and build.
That we've become a rock star in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How about relationship planning, right? We have this assumption that our family relationships are just going to either automatically improve or, hey, with me being around a lot more now, I bet you life at home is going to get a lot easier if I'm around a lot more to do a lot more.
I'm thinking of a client where we were talking about not just the retirement planning piece and knowing these clients as long as I have, dipping my toe into the water with them on this concept of personal planning.
Mm-hmm.
And the husband, who is the one that's retiring, says, oh boy, my wife is so excited for us to have no income and 3 times the husband.
Right.
And if you breathe that in for a second, the connotation of the golden goose is gone, right? We no longer have income in the traditional sense of some kind of a paycheck or something from the business.
Right.
And now the husband's around 3 times more and you're going to, and I got my mom and dad in my head because when my dad finally retired, my mom said something to the effect of, well, don't think I'm going to be making your lunch for you every day.
Right.
Right. And this connotation around the relationship, because that's going to take work.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Particularly if you've been so focused on the business all these years and you're okay, let's face it, you're probably a bit of a workaholic.
Yeah.
And if you're not, you're a controlaholic. So now you're going to come home and that relationship with your partner is going to need attention.
Yes. Absolutely.
And we would submit that it needs attention in advance so you have a game plan for how are you going to spend time together.
Do we have any who's on the bench that might be able to help
maybe.
with that stuff a little?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. You mentioned before in the show about our own transition from being generalists into specialists. And one of the things that I don't know how much we've shared on the show in the past about what we did when we were more general practitioners. Most clients, even when we weren't specifically working just with the entrepreneurs we're working with today, and we had a broader base of clients coming in the door, it always seemed to be the same circumstances that drove people through our door. And it was one of the 5 Ds, right? It was this idea of life is going great, and then all of a sudden something comes smashing in sideways at 90 degrees and tries to take us out, whether that's a death, a divorce, a diagnosis, a disagreement, or disillusionment, disability.
Disillusionment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There might be a 6 D. There might be 7 or 8 Ds if we really go down the road. But
yeah.
Some kind of major something happens, and it forces us into this transition where life changes. And there's usually some money involved and a bunch of relationships and some time and some energy. And we've spent a lot of time helping people navigate some of life's most challenging transitions, whether they're entrepreneurs or not. And one of the blind spots I found with entrepreneurs is that we often underestimate the psychological impact of these major changes. I am a great example of this. After my whole heart thing, as I'm recovering and sitting in pain every day, the psychological impact that had, dude, I didn't want to be here. I did not want to be here anymore.
Right.
I went into a major, major, major spiral of depression,
Right.
clinical depression.
Right.
That thank God we found some who's in this world
Yeah.
that helped me through that transition. And now here we are on the other side, not just back to where we were, but better than ever,
Right.
Stronger than ever,
Yep.
physically,
Yep.
emotionally, mentally,
Right.
stronger than I've ever been because of some who's.
Yep.
Let's not wait for one of these 5Ds to show up and force us into this transition. Let's recognize the blind spot that can happen as we go through this transition from just a psychological perspective and how that could impact the way we feel about ourselves and the potential for depression, anxiety, other kind of mental, psychological things that can come up and happen. So why do blind spots persist? Let's kind of wrap this section up. Entrepreneurs, bottom line, are used to being experts. When we admit we don't know something about a life transition, it feels like weakness. And we live in a world that loathes weakness and loves confidence and certainty.
Well, yeah, because entrepreneurs are warriors, really, at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And warriors are built and designed to do one thing, which is to win.
Yes. And
Warriors don't like losing. So any of that sense of weakness is like kryptonite for an entrepreneur.
yet every time, ask yourself this, let's be real. Every time you witness vulnerability in others, how incredible is that? How incredible is that to see failure, vulnerability, weakness, struggle? I don't know the answer. I don't know how.
Here's where I'm stuck. Here's what I'm fearful about. Here's what I'm concerned about.
The most successful people I have ever met have faced those bravely, openly, honestly, and shared them because the answer to getting through those has always been who, not how.
Love it.
Barrier number 4. We just said it. Who, not how. We're using the wrong framework, right? The entrepreneur's default is, how do I plan for life after business? The better question is, who can help me discover who I want to be? Brother, why does how thinking fail in the personal financial planning world?
Well,
From an entrepreneur's perspective.
yeah,
Which
I mean,
you are. Come on, tap that big left beautiful brain of yours right now.
the left side of the brain, it's a math problem.
Exactly. There you
Right?
go.
That's easy.
Yes.
The right side of the brain is the human side of the brain, the emotional side of the brain, where all of that oogie, scary stuff exists. Right?
Feelings. Uh-oh.
Right?
We said the F word.
And what did Dr. Joan Rosenberg always talk about, who was a friend of ours through our work with Bo Eason?
Yep.
Is the concept of feelings come up, right? And what do? We try to push them back down.
Yes.
Right? That's the challenge, is those things start to come up and you don't know how to deal with it.
Right.
I knew I felt stuck as a practitioner for 30 years in financial planning land, and I didn't know how I was going to get out of that. And then I found this group of who's in this exit planning land that really got me thinking, oh, wow. Wait. And there was deep introspection. There was deep introspection on what is it that I want in terms of my energy and my passion for this business. This wasn't a post-Life 3.0, like post-transition. This was while I was in it.
Sure.
And entrepreneurs may be struggling with that too. It's not all necessarily the personal planning post-selling the business. There can be some of the personal planning that needs to happen now.
Absolutely.
That you need who's for to help you get unstuck.
Well, remember, exit planning is just good business planning.
100%.
It helps us deal with today's business.
100%.
Part of why the how thinking also fails is that we're starting to uncover, and I think our tribe's starting to feel this. There's no universal blueprint for this. When you come in and see us and we start the personal planning work, there's no template for this.
It's a blank piece of paper.
Right. This isn't about a system that exists or a Google or an AI app that can give us the answer because there's so much information about the process for personal planning online. This is a blank canvas that we are designing from scratch.
Handcrafted.
What Life 3.0 is going to look like. This is about who, not how.
Yes.
So I think we've got a little bit of a shift here in the framework, right? There's a few different ways that I'd like to challenge the tribe today to start shifting the way they think about this. We need to start shifting from how do I plan my exit strategy to who can help me discover my next chapter, right? Let's also shift from how do I maximize my business value to who will I become when this chapter ends.
So what I love about that one in particular is going back to our time management quadrant.
Yeah.
Right. That, how do I maximize my business value for most entrepreneurs is going to be an important, urgent topic.
Yes.
But the concept of who will I become when this chapter ends, which is equally important, is that classic quadrant 2, important, not urgent scenario.
Bingo.
And that's where we're trying to elevate the conversation and prioritization around spending some time in this framework shift now that you know the blind spot of personal planning.
Sure. Let me present one more.
Yeah.
Right. The old thought process from Financial Planning 101, how do I structure my estate? Let's get from that kind of thinking to who do I want to be remembered as? Who do I want to be for my legacy? Just different ways to start having the conversations that are about who, not how.
Well, and I think so much of what we enjoy doing on this show is taking a surface level topic and taking it deeper.
Oh, yeah.
These are kind of next level questions.
We're in the Mariana Trench right now,
right?
Brother.
We are asking the deeper question.
Yes.
Because to me, it's always about asking better questions.
Through asking questions, you and I have learned firsthand what these 4 barriers are that keep entrepreneurs stuck and out of the personal life planning business. Fear creates avoidance. Time management keeps us obsessed with quadrant 1. Blind spots prevent us from seeing what's missing, and the wrong frameworks lead us down very ineffective paths. Let's do this. Let's do, again, an immediate kind of barrier assessment. So let's pull that journal out, let's push pause, and let's just kind of check in with ourselves, and let's create a little bit of awareness, because with that awareness, we can start to accept what is, which gives us the strength to take some action to make some change in our lives. So first, let's have a fear check. What scares you most about life after business ownership?
And if I can add, just let it rip.
Oh, yeah.
Have no judgment around what comes out of your heart, your mind,
Don't hold back.
Your hand on the paper.
Don't hold back.
Just let it rip.
Yeah, this is for you to gather data about yourself. This is for you to uncover something that maybe you haven't really ever thought about. Number 2, let's do a little time audit. How much time do you spend in each quadrant? Look at your calendar over the last week. When did you last spend time working on quadrant 2 stuff? Whether it's personal planning, whether it's strategic planning with your business partners, whether it's getting your legal house in order, your estate planning work, your financial house in order. When was the last time you spent some time outside of your business working on your business? Do a little audit of how you spend time each quarter. Number 3, let's do a blind spot scan. What aspects of personal life planning have you never considered? That might be personal life planning in general.
Exactly.
And last, let's do a little bit of a framework flip. Start asking who questions instead of how questions.
Yeah. Who can help me with this?
Who are the who's that are missing?
Yeah.
Here's the reality at Gebhardt Group. We see the barriers every day with the entrepreneurs we work with.
Yeah.
The ones who break through don't have fewer fears or more time. They simply have the courage to acknowledge the barriers and ask for help navigating them.
Raise their hand and ask for help.
Absolutely. If that's the most important thing we're trying to help our tribe take away from today, is who, not how. We don't have to solve every problem because there is a who can help us do that. Remember, these barriers exist because they've served you well. We're control freaks because it serves us well. But what got us here won't get us there to a fulfilling life 3.0. What are we doing in the next episode, brother?
Well, it's more good, deep digging. It's going to be more in the topic of why should we do the planning, right? We've identified and talked about what the barriers are to doing it. But now we got to go deeper with why do we do this? Why can't I just spend all my time in quadrant 1 putting out fires and building my business and optimizing its value?
You mean we're going to show you what you actually get from doing the planning? Like what the benefit is to doing that?
Exactly.
So let's get prepared. We're going to share some stories about entrepreneurs who actually did the work and those who didn't. And we're going to share some of the dramatic differences of what those people experience, because understanding the barriers, that's just step one. Now we've got to build the motivation to overcome these barriers and see what's the cookie on the other side that I actually get with this.
Exactly.
So here's the challenge. Here's the challenge for the tribe before the next episode.
Yeah, I love this.
Track your time for the next 3 days. Just 3 days. That's it. How much time are you spending in each quadrant? What quadrant 2 personal planning have you been avoiding?
And if we're going to have them take that even a little step further, right? You have the law of diminishing intent, which is getting an action in the next 24 hours to move the needle further in that subject, right? So on my way up here today, I reached out to the insurance specialist that I want to develop more relationship with. And that's been one of those quadrant 2 things that have been just sitting out there for, 6 months.
Sure.
And I finally took action on it today, and it feels good.
Nice job.
Is it done? No, it's not done. But in that law of diminishing intent, just take some little action. Start with tracking your time. Start with calling that.
That's what we're doing.
That personal planning miss that you referred to the so-and-so, the who that could help you with this. Just reach out and make it happen.
Here's how we get the anchor off the bottom 1 inch. Track your time for 3 days.
Yeah.
See what you learn about yourself. And then you're prepared for the next episode of the Whole Wealth Journey. With that, brother,
that's a wrap.
Thanks for joining us today on the Whole Wealth Journey. Are you ready to start planning for a future that's rich in wealth and well-being? Then click like and subscribe and make sure you don't miss a single episode of the Whole Wealth Journey.
So if we've struck a nerve with you today, where do people go?
You can find us at GebhardtWholeWealth.com. That's GEBHARDT.
Jim Gebhardt is a registered representative
We'll
of
see you
Integrity
next time.
Alliance, LLC. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Integrity Alliance, LLC, member SIPC. Gebhardt Group Incorporated is not affiliated with Integrity Wealth. Jim Gebhardt and Matthew Grishman are investment advisor representatives of Gebhardt Group Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. The opinions in this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or investment recommendations. To determine which investment or financial advice may be appropriate for you, consult a financial advisor prior to investing. Any reference to market performance is based on historical information, and there is no expressed or implied guarantee of future performance. Opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of Integrity Alliance, LLC. The topics discussed and opinions given are not intended to address the specific needs of any listener. Gebhardt Group Incorporated does not offer legal or tax advice. Listeners are encouraged to discuss their financial needs with the appropriate professional regarding your individual circumstance.